This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor Mr. Roldan Ardines to use this as an educational material.
Anthropology is a scientific study of human behavior and the societies in the past and present, and it is concerned with the understanding how humans evolve and how they are different from one another. So anthropology is the view of self as a culturally shaped construct or idea. According to Ruth Benedict, the main purpose of anthropology is to make world safe and for human differences. Anthropological perspective focuses on the study of the full scope of human diversity and the application of that knowledge to help people of different backgrounds. And anthropological perspective of the self considers the genetic and cultural origins of self, the role that self plays in socialization and language, and types of self we generate in our individual journeys through adulthood. We rely on others to tell us about oneself and even let us know what we truly are.
Anthropology is divided into sub-disciplines: cultural, archaeological, biological, and linguistic. First, cultural. It is a study of how people share common cultural system, organize and shape physical and social world around them. Example, language, festivals, holidays. Cultures define who we are. That's why it affects our perception of ourselves towards others. Archaeological, the study of socio-cultural behavior in the prehistoric and prehistoric past, deals with such remains from past societies such as tools, shelter, remains of plants and animals eaten as food, and other objects that have survived. Examples, caves, past settlements, and monuments. Biological, the study of human biological variation and evolution. For an instance, biological anthropologists often look at biology of human remains. Linguistic, closely studies these societies where language defined as culture or society. Example, studying English language.
According to Coley 1902, self consists of all statements made by a person, overtly or covertly, that includes the words I, me, mine, and myself. Self-definition results in behavior consistent with that. People who define themselves as those or particular behavior were more likely to do the behavior. There are three aspects of self: private, collective, and public self. Private, the part of a person's awareness known only to themselves. The private self is the only one aware of true feelings and self-worth. Cognition, that involves traits, states, or behaviors of the person. Example is, I am introverted and I am honest. Collective, the collective self, that self consists of those aspects of the self that are based on membership in social groups or categories. Cognitions, concerning a view of the self that is found in some collective. Public self, the public self is the view of oneself by others as conveyed through public information, public action, and interaction with others. Cognition, concerning a generalized other view of the self. Example is people thinking I am introverted or people thinking I will buy X.
There are three dimensions of cultural variation: individualism and collectivism, tightness and looseness, and last, cultural complexity. Individualism, collectivism describe how a culture prioritizes individual needs versus needs of the group. Tightness and looseness reflects the strength and social control. And last, the cultural complexity refers to the level of intricacy within a society, social structures, and practices.
Cultural influence that shapes the self. Material components pertain to all tangible materials that are inherited from the previous generation. This is the most obvious component because it's physical in nature. Example, barong Tagalog, banga, bahikubo, walis tingting. Cognitive component are divided into ideas, knowledge and beliefs, values and accounts. Example is mano or bless, and being religious.
In normative components, there is social norms. Social norms are the unwritten rules and expectations that guide behavior within a society or group. They define what is considered acceptable, appropriate, and even expected in different situations. These norms can vary significantly from culture to culture, and even within a single society, different subgroups may have their own unique norms. Two types of social norms, folkways and mores. Folkways, the general rules of customary and habitual ways and patterns of expected behavior in society. Example is pagkuha ng pagkain ng marami tapos hindi mo naubos, ang dami mong kinuha pero hindi mo inubos. Mores refers to the special folkways are generally emphasized because they are deemed necessary by the welfare of society. Also, mores are mandated by the law. Examples is way back 2019, we need to use face mask para dili mahawa sa virus. By doing this, we are also thinking other people welfare. Why there is culture change? Cultural change happens because no society in constant state, society is continuously evolved from one period of time to another. Anthropologists have emphasized that culture is not behavior itself, but the shared understanding that guide behavior and are expressed in behavior. According to Pickup 1986, he defines self-understanding of culture behavior and expressed in behavior. Cultural lag. One most thing is to count both social need and the cultural goals as I mentioned above. Every cultural goals is anchored on social need. Example, before we use animals growing our field as a helper to farmer, but because to the technological advancement of the agriculture, like bihira na lang ang animals blowing the field, more machineries na. Cultural borrowing is a situation where one society borrow the culture of another society and use it as a new part of the culture. Example is the popularity of melting, also the samgyup sauce we borrow this another culture.
The Filipino self-invented in cultures. The deeply ingrained social values practiced within Filipino societies, including concept of Filipino like utang na loob or debt of gratitude, bayanihan o community cooperation, and also pakikisama, conformity. Pantayong pananaw is a self-reflected view of a study of the Philippine history. Pantayong pananaw emerged as how we practice of history, although it encompasses whole realm of the world and the Philippine history and historiography. For example, pantayong pananaw is a Filipino talking to a Filipino about their experience as a Filipinos using Filipino language and communication. Labas or outside perspective of Filipino reflect the refer international outdoor express the persons, the way Filipino represent themselves from the world. It involved the viable traits, an appearance, behavior, and the way one interact and the others. For example, of Filipino cultures, labas or outside perspective, including how people show respect and interact with authority and maintain their social roles, particularly with the family and community dynamics. Lalim o deep, pantayong pananaw, refers to the profound of deep aspect of a Filipino identity. It highlights the deeper, often unspoken layer of a person worldwide and how these are connected to cultural and familiar expectation of a spiritual belief. Lalim speaks to the complexity of a Filipino thoughts, especially in how culture and values influence decision-making, behavior, and relationships. It is
the depth of understanding and commitment of a family, religion, community, and one of their own emotional and psychological growth. For example, they reflect the sacrifice their parents made for their education. This realization strengthens their determination to succeed, not just for themselves, but for their families and future generation.
According to Salazar, the history of a specific community or up nation should be construed primarily on the basis of the internal flow of its history. In Salazar's framework, these three aspects, labas, loob, and lalim, represent the interconnection between the external and internal dimensions of the Filipino self, suggesting that Filipino identity cannot be fully understood without considering both what is visible and what is felt deeply within. Salazar suggests that Filipino cultural values like kapwa o shared identity, bayanihan, communal unity, and pagkatao, sense of personhood, are influenced by these three dimensions, which are inseparable when interpreting Filipino behavior and social structure and cultural practices.